Hi, I'm Larry London. This is Border Crossings. And on today's show, I welcome a music pioneer whose music spans 5 decades, Paul Rodgers. You might know his voice for his hit songs All Right Now with Free or Feel Like Making Love with Bad Company. Paul was included by Rolling Stone magazine in their list of the 100 greatest singers of all time. And he now has a new solo album out called The Royal Sessions, featuring his favorite Memphis Soul songs. He's here today to tell us all about it. Stay tuned for Border Crossings on VOA TV.
But you did, and I thank you.
Paul Rodgers is on the telephone with me, and we welcome you to Border Crossings and to the world. We're broadcasting to 60 countries, and I'd like to first of all start off by saying congratulations on the success of the brand new CD, The Royal Sessions. It's number 1 on the blues chart.
Well, thanks, Larry. It was a joy and a pleasure to make this album.
Why does this album stand out among your collection to you? I mean, this is a very special album. Maybe you can elaborate on what made you decide to do something like this.
Well, what made me decide to do this was the opportunity came up when my producer, Perry Margoloff, was down in Memphis, and he called me from the Royal Studios and said, this place is here. It's wonderful. It's still got the atmosphere from the early days. The musicians are incredible. Do you fancy coming down? Would you like to come down and record a couple of tracks and see how it feels? So I went down there, and we spent 3 days recording with the Reverend Charles Hodges and the high rhythm section and all the guys. And we just had I had a wonderful time, you know, and we understood each other. I mean, I love this music, and these guys are the masters of it. They pretty much invented it, you know. And it was like coming home for me. It's a long way from Middlesbrough, my hometown, to Memphis, right. But I was so glad to be there.
And the stack sound, the Memphis Soul stack sound is very, very unique, and it's very recognizable. So for you to come from groups, you know, that you've come from, like Bad Company and Free, which are heavy guitar, heavy rock sounds, and then all of a sudden incorporate the Memphis horn section, how did that feel to you? Was that kind of an adjustment, or was that something you've always done, or how did it feel?
I think it's something I've always done in my mind, you know. I can hear the brass sections. I never really put them in anything that we did, you know, in a rock way, if you like. But when I was listening, when I was 14 and 15, I used to love that brass section. Da-da-da-da-da-da, I've been down so long, you know. And right. I always thought one day I would love to have the full-on band with the brass section and the beautiful singers and sometimes even the strings. And I finally did that, and it was really a great experience. And we recorded everything analog, and we were live in the studio. So a lot of the tracks went down with one take, and then we worked on them from there. You
know, the first song, I Thank You, one of my favorites, all-time favorites. Now, you covered a couple of Otis Redding songs, and you did an Al Green song. You did a whole bunch of different kinds of soul, famous music from Memphis. Now, how did you pick the 10 you came up with? Because that's got to be a monumental chore to figure out 10 out of all the hundreds and hundreds there are.
Yeah, you know, none of it was really a chore, though, Larry. You know, it was like... It was so nice to do. I had this choice. I could do anything I wanted, and the guys were wide open to whatever I wanted to do, which was wonderful. And I had a selection, really, in my own mind of about 30 or 40 songs that I could have called on. And I would go in the studio each day and say, okay, what's the mood today? You know, are we up? Are we kind of mellow? And I would just call a song, and we would play it. And every single time, all of the tracks we did were master tracks, you know. There was one incident, there was one moment when I was walking between the studio and the control room, and I saw a 24-track master, and on the side was written Ann Peebles, I Can't Stand the Rain. And I sort of stopped, and everybody piled up behind me. And I said, is that the master for this track? And they said, yeah. She recorded that here, and we were the band that played on it.
Wow. That's fantastic.
I said, can we do that track? And they said, yep, we can. And we went and played that. And the other thing, interestingly, talk about authenticity, we managed to find the original electric bongos that were played on that track, and we used them on the track as well. Yeah, we got it. I think we we aim to get it right. I aim to try to get the feel the way I felt it when I was listening to it as a kid. It moved me so much. I wanted to do it justice.
Right.
And I hope that we did.
I can't stand the rain against my window, bringing back sweet memories. Hey, window pane, do you remember how sweet it used to be? Bringing back sweet memories. I can't stand the rain.
We're talking to Paul Rodgers, who's on the line with us in, where are you right now? Where are we speaking to?
In Toronto.
Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you what, Rolling Stone magazine put you in their 100 greatest artists of all time list, and I know you've been referred to by your fans as the voice. So the question is, where does Paul Rodgers get his inspiration?
Well, you know, actually, my inspiration really comes from the material we've just been talking about. Otis Redding is probably my most favorite singer, I think. There's something about his delivery and his tone of voice and just the attitude of really there's a lot of love in his voice. And it really inspired me when I was a kid, and it still inspires me now to this day. And so many great singers that some have passed away, some are still kicking it out there. You know, Little Richard, John Lee Hooker, Albert King. It's just so many. And those were my teachers, and they still inspire me. I can still listen to that music and get goose pimples, you know.
Now, you have been in so many, legendary bands. There's so much to Paul Rodgers. And I know Bad Company, of course, and Free, and there's a bunch of others, and you've had some other side projects as well. Now, Queen, you decided you wanted to see Queen back on the road, so you contacted Brian May, I guess. Is that how the story goes? And you said, let's put this band back together?
Well, they contacted me, actually. And to be honest with you, if we hadn't played together, I would have been very doubtful about doing that. But we had played together in a TV station, on a TV show. It was an award show, actually, and for Chris Blackwell, and they wanted me to close the show with All Right Now. And Brian said to me, hey man, we'll be your backing band for All Right Now if you'll be our singer. We will rock you. Oh, okay, we'll try that, you know.
That's right, fair trade.
We tried it, and it was just such a wonderful thing, you know. It just was, we were so connected. We decided we'd do more. I hadn't actually planned to stay as long as 4 years, but ultimately we toured the world twice, and we did some amazing shows. The fans were fantastic, and I was glad to help resurrect them, and they're up and running now. So we had a great time with it.
Well, the album is fantastic. Where can people get this? Online around the world? Can they go to Amazon and iTunes?
Yes, all of those, all of the above. They can also check out my website and the Facebook, Paul Rodgers Official, and the album's available there. Or information about it is there, and everything that we're doing is on the web.
You didn't have to love me like you did, but you did. And I thank you. You didn't have to squeeze me like you did, but you did. And I thank you.
Paul Rodgers is on with us, and it's The Royal Sessions, the name of the new CD. What are your favorite songs? Give me a couple of I know they're all your favorites, but if you had to pick one or two that, are can't miss, must listen to songs on the album, what would they be?
Well, I loved singing Walk On By. That was, when I first heard that, I heard the Isaac Hayes version. Well, I actually heard the earlier version, Dionne Warwick, obviously before then. But when I heard Isaac Hayes' version, I just about fell on the floor. It was such a beautiful version. And I always wanted to to be good enough to be able to sing that song, and get away with it. And hopefully, I've achieved that here, because it was such a great, beautiful track that they put down for me.
Thank you, Paul Rodgers, for talking with us. The new album is The Royal Sessions, and continued success. When you're in D.C., come on into the studio. We'd love to have you here on The Voice of America.
I'd love to be there. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Paul Rodgers.